Hi guys, back again with my last song for the top Bob Dylan 5 songs. It's only my opinion, but probably a lot of you will agree with me. I think the album Blood on the Tracks has been very well represented, and a lot of us would believe that Dylan showed himself in his finest robes and colours on this album of personal loss, particularly in terms of the words, the images, the imagery. He rises to the level of a true poet, and a great one at that. Just for this album alone, he's probably earned his distinction as recipient of the Nobel Prize for Literature. The imagery is incredible on a song like Shelter from the Storm, and there's a lot of it here too on Tangled Up in Blue, which is my #1 song, to nobody's surprise, I think. Things were obviously going in that direction. I've written on this song and commented on this song elsewhere. You can find all about that on other videos on my channel. And yeah, it's truly a great song, and it's one of loss, as are all the songs really on Blood on the Tracks, all the significant songs, the best songs. And it's talking about somebody drifting around, kind of similar to Up to Me. The only decent thing I did when I worked as a postal clerk, he says on Up to Me, but here it's drifting along, getting menial jobs as a fisherman, and nearly drowned in Delacroix. Maybe that was a later reworking of the words on Dylan Live, 1981. But anyway, great song, great lyrics, and this theme of searching, which runs throughout the whole album, is brought out incredibly well here. I always mention that I think there is a real connection here between Dylan in this song, the poet, the artist poet, searching for something, continuing that search, never being able to settle down or to find it. When he thinks it's in his grasp, it's gone, and he's got to keep on keeping on, looking for another joint. I always say that I think it's similar to the Sufi idea of the Sufi poet or mystic in search of God and the divine, you can say. So this is Dylan in search of the divine, and he's seeing it in all sorts of different places and all kinds of different images, but none of them really satisfy him, and once he's grasped it, he's got to move on because it's somewhere else. And yeah, very similar to the Sufi idea of the poet or mystic, always traveling in search of God. And of course we do know that Dylan did find God, his own God, later on, so maybe this is something he was looking for at this time. Something similar to the Sufi mystic too is the idea of what one is in search of, being seen in terms of a bird flying ahead. So Sufi poet sees God as the bird who is flying ahead, and he is following behind in continuous search. And Dylan too likens his search to that of being like a bird. He's like a bird that flew. So great song. Of course I can't play it in its entirety or even parts, I don't think, because it will get blocked, but just to remind ourselves of how wonderful some of these lyrics are by giving kudos to some people who have played the song as a cover. And the first one is a bluegrass version of the song, which is kind of interesting. Let's bring it up. sure there will be ads. Okay, go.
Early one morning the sun was shining, I was laying in bed, wondering if she changed at all, if her hair was still red. Her folks said our lives together, sure were we gonna be rough. Never liked mama's homemade dress, thought the banquet wasn't big enough. Me, I'm standing on the side of the road with the ring falling in my shoe, heading out to the East Coast, Lord knows the pace and dues getting through. Tangled up in blue. She was married when we first met, soon to be divorced. Kept her out of a jam, I guess, but it used a little too much force. We drove that car as far as we could and abandoned the 8 out west. Splitting up on the docks that night, both agreeing it was for the best. She turned around and looked at me as I was walking away. I heard her say over my shoulder, we'll meet again someday on the avenue. Tangled up in blue. I took a job in the Great North Woods, working as a cook for a spell. Never liked it all that much till one day the axe just fell. I drifted down to New Orleans where my luck was to be employed, working out on a fishing boat outside of Delacroix. All the while I was alone, the past seemed close behind. I met a lot of women there, but you never escaped my mind. She just grew tangled up in blue.
So, many thanks to the Bolt Hill Boys, great bluegrass version of Tangled Up in Blue, which makes the lyrics very clear. Yeah, like I was saying, he's drifting around from menial job to menial job, working as a cook for a spell, but never did like it all that much, and one day the axe just fell, so I drifted on down to New Orleans, and he continues to get these menial jobs, and that's connecting up to me on the outtake we looked at from on the tracks where he's working as a postal clerk. So these themes are interlinking. It's not just one song, it's an album full of complex themes which are expressed in this great imagery. Yeah, for me it's really the complexity of the themes together with the amazing imagery in the song, the sincerity, perfect choice of words, poetic mastery, which shows Dylan in the light of a true poet, and he does rise to the level of a great poet, I think, on the best of the songs on this album. Here and there he hits heights in other places, but he does it pretty consistently on this album, and yeah, he deserves the Nobel Prize for Literature for this alone. So there you go, that's my take on Tangled Up in Blue, Bob Dylan's best song. If you enjoyed this bit of entertainment, then a bit of entertainment from me, I mean a bit of fun, just listing the 5 best Dylan songs. Hit the like button and consider subscribing. So thanks a lot and see you next time. Thanks again.